the Sports Renegades podcast on SportstownChicago.com.
Welcome back, Sports Renegades, SportstownChicago.com with Ryan Risky and Ryan Stuprich. We were just kind of getting into the Bears talk at the end of our last segment. We were actually shocked. They did fire everyone, or almost everyone.
Yeah, I think they kept a couple just minor coaches.
No, they kept the big moron in Ted Phillips.
Yes, they did, although at least football-wise, I mean, he's supposed to be a business operations guy, but
for whatever reason, he still has his say in the football operations department because apparently he knows so much, and look where he's gotten this team.
One Super Bowl since he's been there. One Super Bowl.
Was he around for the Super Bowl?
I
don't think so.
The one that they lost to the Colts, he was.
But I thought you were talking about in '85.
No, I don't think he was there. He probably would have been.
There's no way
young.
He was there.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Back then, they had a good operation.
Yeah, and good coaching.
Yep.
Where now they hire people like Mark Trestman.
Yeah, but now, I mean, how do you think he's going to do as the offensive coordinator in Baltimore? Is it going to be a complete sham, or do you think he'll do a decent job?
I think he's doing a horrible job. Mark Trestman, the only job he's qualified for in the NFL is quarterbacks coach.
Although he did do a pretty nice job with the Oakland Raiders when he was their offensive coordinator in 2002.
No, he was the quarterbacks coach.
The quarterbacks coach, that's what it was.
That's the only job he's qualified for because he does know how to handle quarterbacks. He was an awful head coach. As an offensive coordinator, they're not going to run the ball.
I'm surprised that they went and hired him. I thought for sure Mark Trestman wouldn't be in the NFL this upcoming season.
I thought for sure if he was that,
it would be a quarterbacks coach or something.
Well, no, that he would be hired by a team like Tampa Bay or Jacksonville, which he did interview for, and then when you kind of wonder, I mean, the Bears must have been the only team, and Ravens must be the only teams that didn't notice something odd in those interviews. I'm pretty sure Jacksonville and Tampa Bay, they probably asked him, if you're down 3-0 in the first quarter, what do? Abandon the run.
Next.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that's exactly what he would do. That's what he would do.
I know, and he had no control over the locker room.
Did you hear Jay Feely's comments the other day?
I did hear Jay Feely's comments. I liked them a lot.
Yeah, Jay Feely on saying that the Bears had no leadership. Mark Trestman, no one even cared what he had to say. I wouldn't care what Mark Trestman has to say.
I know. It's like,
he didn't know anything.
Okay, guys, we got a big game coming up this week. So
we're going to look at some practice film.
Let's read my book about leadership, and let's go out there and play our hearts out. I mean, that's pretty much what it seems like.
Yeah, and then they'll go and get blown out. He's like, we had such a good week of practice. I don't know why we got blown out. I do. You're a horrible coach, and you have a horrible team.
Right, and I mean, when you have, like, the offensive talent that the Bears have, there's no way you should win only 5 games. So.
Right, and it's actually depressing thinking that at the beginning of the year, people were expecting them to be Super Bowl contenders, not just playoff contenders, Super Bowl contenders, and then this season happened. I mean, that's depressing to think about.
Yeah, I was expecting them to be playoff contenders. I was not expecting them to go to the Super Bowl by any means, but I thought that they would. Yeah, I thought that they could possibly win the division. If not, then they could a wild card for sure.
I mean, I have to say that I did not. No one expected them to be 5-11, except now that it happened, you're not shocked. And
no, not at all.
Everyone was saying, "Oh, there's no way the defense can get any worse." Well, it did.
It definitely did, and
the thing is, it was supposed to be better because they went and signed all these free agents, and now I've been reading
Lamar Houston. What a bust
Jared Allen.
Jared Allen was a bust. He only showed up for a couple games, and yeah, it's.
They signed a lot of. Phil Emery decided that the safety position didn't matter in the NFL.
Nope, because apparently it doesn't.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, he didn't even. I mean, he didn't really go and sign or draft anyone. And that's the thing. He signed special team safeties who were actually making Chris Conte look bad, which says a lot because those guys weren't very good. Danny McCray. Yeah, they were saying, "Oh, what a great preseason he had," and then he was getting no snaps at safety.
Right. I mean, I'm very interested to see what the Bears are going to do in the draft in April.
I say you have to take either a defensive end or a linebacker. And I've been reading some articles, and they're titled Bears Offseason Free Agent Target List. And I'm just thinking, no more free agents. This is what got them into this mess, is signing all these free agents. No more free agents.
Yeah.
No more. The reason they're in this salary cap hell is because they were signing free agents and drafting nobody good.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you there. I think they should definitely
they have
look elsewhere.
And people are like,
in the draft.
They have $30 million in cap. Yet don't go. And they're like, we could use it to sign Ndamukong Kong Suh. And I'm like, is a defensive tackle worth $20 million a year?
No.
That the money that he's going to command. If anything, sign a lot of like try to find some more Willie Young type guys, more value for your dollar, depth signings, guys that have the potential to be better, or re-sign Ryan Mundy, sign another guy like him.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think that's like all those things are very important, obviously.
Yeah. Don't be going and shelling out a ton of money. I mean, I wouldn't be mind if they signed Devin McCourty as a free agent. And I actually read that if they cut Lamar Houston, he'll only have his cap hit will only be $3 million this season if they cut him.
You might want to do that.
Or if he's on the team, it's $7 million, and
I mean, he's supposed to be pretty good. I don't know. I think maybe with and we'll talk about the new coordinators in a second. But I mean, I think with the new defensive coordinator, maybe he'll play a lot better.
Well, you also have to throw in the fact that he wasn't playing well. The fact that he's coming off a torn ACL. We don't know when he'll come back. And not only that,
that's true. He'll be out for at least 9 months, 10 months.
I'd say we assume that he'll miss the first 2 games of the regular season. When he comes back, he probably won't even look very good. I mean, I'd say you have to cut him. You don't sign free agents from the Raiders. They were on the Raiders for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. They only won a couple games for a reason there. So let's move over to the new coordinators that the Bears got while we were off. They hired new offensive, new defensive. Let's start with defensive. What do you think about Vic Fangio?
I like it. He's been running good defenses in San Francisco for a while. It's not like they went and signed Jacksonville's defensive coordinator again and had a huge swing and miss there when they did that with Mel Tucker. And for whatever reason, Alabama signed him to be their assistant head coach and defensive backs coach.
Yeah, well, it's college. It's a lot different than the NFL, so maybe it'll be okay down there. I don't know. But yeah, I think you're spot on there with Vic Fangio. I think.
I mean, granted,
it's a really good thing that they got him.
He needs more talent, and maybe what he'll be able to do, maybe help develop players more, because that's what
we need. Yeah,
we need guys that'll help these players develop.
Right, like no one's expecting the Bears, although it is the NFL where you can go to the playoffs after being one of the worst teams in football. But no one's expecting the Bears to go to the playoffs in 2015. But
Ted Phillips is
except Ted Phillips and
because
maybe
he knows so much
some
about
other
football.
McCaskies, not George McCaskey. I think he's a pretty respectable guy. But there's some other guys on that front office staff that are just ridiculous. But I think Vic Fangio can definitely develop the players, like you said, and I think they can be much improved on the defensive side.
Right. It won't be like a Mel Tucker defense where you line up 10 yards away, a minimum of 10 yards away from the wide receiver.
We can at least have some competitive games against the Packers and Lions, maybe. That's what I'm hoping for.
As long as we're not down 42-0 at halftime against Green Bay next year, I think it's an improvement if they're not down 42-0, or the score's even worse.
I know. That was awful.
I actually wonder what the most points scored in a half in an NFL game is, because Green Bay had to have been close.
I'm sure they were close to it. That's for sure. I'm sure they were close to it.
I mean, I'm pretty sure they could, if they kept Aaron Rodgers in that whole game, they would have put up another 42 in the second half.
If they wanted to, I'm sure they could have. They didn't want to rub it in too bad.
I think they should have. I wish they did. I honestly would, just because it makes Mark Trestman and his staff look even worse.
Right.
I mean, and then Mark Trestman's like, in the postgame, I don't know why we got blown out. We had an amazing week of practice. Well, you are an embarrassment to the NFL. You have no business coaching in this league.
Yeah, he doesn't know like what's acceptable for the NFL.
He didn't even know what was acceptable of a good practice. Like, I guarantee if everyone got into there was a huge brawl, and the brawl lasted the entire practice, Mark Trestman would say, all right, great, we had a great day of practice, everyone. That's Mark Trestman logic.
I know. It's embarrassing is what it is. It's definitely embarrassing. And we'll talk about the offensive coordinator, Adam Gase, and the relationship that him and John Fox have, so that should be a good thing as well.
Right. We'll get to that right after this quick update. Thank you for that update, Ryan. And now we're going to talk about the Bears' new offensive coordinator, Adam Gase. Previously, with John Fox as his own offensive coordinator for Peyton Manning last year, and had a good season. Mm-hmm. I couldn't believe the major turnaround in the coaching staff for the Broncos.
I know, I couldn't either. That was pretty amazing.
And I know a lot of people were complaining about Adam Gase saying, well, you looked at one point looked like a shoo-in for a head coaching job, and now he's interviewing for all these offensive coordinator positions.
Yeah, maybe he didn't really necessarily want to be a head coach, which I mean is understandable because you don't want to pull a Mark Trestman, but you know.
Well, it's not only that. I think a lot of teams didn't like that he was too young, and another thing with that is I think why teams didn't want to hire him as their offensive coordinator is because they didn't want a potentially one-and-done offensive coordinator where he goes and gets a head coaching job the next year when he shows he can have success with a quarterback other than Peyton Manning.
Right.
Which it's completely understandable, so I'm hoping that he can at least ride out his 3-year deal with the Bears.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think it's...
I think it's a good hire.
Oh, yeah. No, I think it's definitely a good hire because you have him and John Fox working together. You know, again, after they went to the Super Bowl last year, I know they got beat bad by the Seahawks, but they had a really good year. I just wonder how much of that offense was Peyton Manning's and how much of that was Adam Gase's.
Right, and that's where the people that are kind of skeptical of this hire.
That's the one big thing out of this whole thing.
That's the one. Yeah, that's what skeptical people were wondering. Well, maybe teams were realizing that he wasn't the one responsible for that amazing year that Manning had last season when they went to the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's a lot of factors. I mean, he's young. I mean, because it looked like he was like guaranteed the 49ers head coaching job, and then they gave it to the defensive line coach, and then they fired everyone.
Right.
Which I didn't get that because it seemed like they had a pretty good staff.
Yeah, I thought they had a pretty good staff too, and they're definitely going a different direction.
Way different direction. I read that some people didn't even think that they didn't even think that he was the kind of guy that had be cut out for a head coach, and I think it was pretty obvious they were going to fire Greg Roman, who was the offensive coordinator, because not only is their offense bad, it's bad because they have Colin Kaepernick as their quarterback, and it will continue to be bad as long as he is their quarterback.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point too. I don't know. I mean, I do like this hire, and I think a lot of people like this hire.
I like a lot of the Bears hires. Like, this has got to be the first time in Bears history that they've hired coaches at every position, at like the main positions, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and head coach that had previous experience in those positions.
That's the main thing, is all these people had previous experience, so you get
successful previous experience, where Mel Tucker didn't have previous experience.
Well, neither did any of the head coaches that Bears have hired in the past. I mean, John Fox, is he's gone to 2 Super Bowls. I know he lost them both, but he's been to 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah, I mean, where Mel Tucker, he did have experience as a defensive coordinator, except he had awful results.
Right. I mean, John Fox took Jake Delhomme and the Carolina Panthers to a Super Bowl in 2005.
And almost beat the Patriots.
And almost beat Tom Brady. I mean, that doesn't that doesn't happen by accident.
No, it doesn't. And anyways, we got another timeout. We'll be right back. We'll continue talking NFL and give our preview for the Super Bowl.
That's right, we got Super Bowl talk.
Coming up next, Sports Renegades, SportsTownChicago.com.
The Sports Renegades podcast on SportsTownChicago.com.